You might be considering a vegan diet, but are confused by all of the contradictory information out there. Isn't shipping almonds and quinoa across the world worse than eating local meat and dairy? Hi friends, Sarina here, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, I've been vegan since birth, and I teach people about veganism and empower people to live ethically and sustainably in our complicated world. Alright, so I have 5 reasons for you today for why veganism and a vegan diet are always the best option for the environment. Number 1, efficiency. All animal products, literally no matter what they are, take more land, water, resources, energy, and inputs to produce than all plant-based products. And this is because whether we're talking about cows that are producing dairy and milk, or chickens that lay eggs, or actually slaughtering an animal to consume their literal flesh, those animals have to grow, they have to be fed, they have to drink water, they have land to live on, and for sometimes months, sometimes years, that they have to consume all of these resources and be taken care of in order to then produce milk, produce eggs, or be slaughtered for their flesh. And the output amount, calorie for calorie, is incredibly inefficient. It ranges whether we're talking about land or water, but across all of those facets, a lot is lost in the output, and animals consume way more calories, time, energy, food, and water than we ever get back out of them. Number 2, animal agriculture is the leading cause of climate change, of deforestation, of pollution, including plastic in the ocean. It's a much bigger cause than plastic straws or bags are. It's leftover fishing equipment that gets discarded, and that plastic pollutes the ocean. Animal agriculture causes runoff and manure that contaminates our oceans and rivers and lakes and fresh water. And I'm not just talking about factory farming here. Because of the inefficiencies, the very act of raising animals to get anything out of them for food produces an enormous amount of waste and pollution and destruction. Greenhouse gas emissions are a great example of this. A lot of people think that grass-fed beef is more sustainable or can somehow be regenerative, and the science very strongly shows otherwise. Grass-fed cows actually produce more greenhouse gas emissions and take more land because they're given more land to graze rather than being confined and fed as much grain. So they're actually causing more deforestation in the Amazon. And I've touched on this in my previous video where I talked about everything that's happening with the Amazon fires, which were still going on this year as well. And that is largely driven by beef and grass-fed beef. Number 3, the type of food matters more than where it comes from or where it's shipped from. So I see a lot of people talking about how it's worse, for example, to eat avocados or tropical fruit flown in from overseas or grown in the global south than eating local, organic, humane meat and dairy products. And this is really a myth that gets perpetuated online a lot. Food miles are only a tiny fraction when it comes to greenhouse gases of where the emissions come from in that supply chain. So food miles are the transportation, the energy that's used to fly food around the world or truck it or transport it anywhere. The vast majority of resource consumption, of pollution caused, and of greenhouse gas emissions comes in what the food is, not where it came from. Even if I have grass-fed local beef, behind me next door here, local, that I don't have to drive anywhere, it is still better to purchase plant-based meat products that were shipped in from around the world because they are so much more efficient, so much less harmful to the environment than that grass-fed beef that is creating enormous greenhouse gas emissions and in some cases actually driving local deforestation. And we're in Kansas, we already don't have a lot of forest, it's already pretty flat, and yet I've seen a lot of plots of land locally around me have the trees stripped to put more cattle on them. So it's much better to go and buy your plant-based products, even if they're being shipped in, which they don't have to be. Getting local plant-based products is great too, but the type of food matters a lot more than where it's coming from, because that transportation is such a small piece of the environmental impact. Number 4, a 2018 study published in the journal Science that is one of the most comprehensive environmental studies of food production ever done. Looked at over 37,000 different farms, ranging from large industrial farms to small-scale plant and animal farms. And this study found that even the most impactful plant-based farming methods had a much lower environmental impact than the least impactful animal-based farming methods. I hear a lot of people concerned about some vegan products that are contributing to driving violent resource extraction. Well, let me make this really clear. Yes, some plant products are harmful. Yes, palm oil is not great, and many vegans I know, especially those that are concerned about the environment as well as animal rights, do their best to avoid palm oil. But it makes no sense to be concerned about palm oil and rainforest destruction being driven by palm oil when that is a fraction of the rainforest destruction and resource extraction being driven by the beef industry in particular, but all animal agriculture. In the global south as well, the #1 driver of Brazilian Amazon deforestation and fires is cattle, and it's growing corn and soy that are being grown as feed crops to then feed to cattle. So if you are concerned about violent resource extraction in the South, start by being concerned about meat and dairy and how much land and resources they are using and how much pollution they are creating. Then we can talk about plants and the worst of plant farming and how we can get better there. Number 5, arguments like, but almonds use so much water and quinoa and avocados are bad for the environment. These are largely myths, and they are little snippets of things that are taken out of context, often promoted by the meat and dairy industries to deflect from the real issue at hand here. Almond milk is a great example of this. It has gotten a lot of press for being hugely environmental damaging because of how much water almonds take to grow. However, it depends on what we're comparing it to. Yes, almond milk is way more water intensive than, say, oat milk or soy milk, for example, but how does it match up compared to actual cow's milk? Not so good. While a lot of the almonds that are produced for the entire world are grown in California and use a decent amount of water in California, it doesn't even come close to how much water the meat and dairy industry are using in California alone. Really doesn't even match up. So the focus and attention on almond milk is just deflecting. So yeah, if you want to be super environmentally conscious, absolutely. Choose oat milk or soy milk or something else instead of almond milk. But don't think that you're doing something good for the environment by not going vegan or not buying that almond milk and still purchasing that cow's milk. Switching the entire world to an all plant-based diet would free up so much land and resources, even if we did nothing else, even if we were still using large industrial monocrops in agriculture, which I don't think are the great solution, and veganic is really the way to go. And drop me a comment below and let me know if you want me to do a video all about veganic agriculture, which I think is the ideal solution. But anyway, my point is that even if we kept all of our industrial plant agriculture, but we just switched the world to eating plant-based products and plant foods and cut out all the animal-based foods, it would free up so much land that we could start rewilding places like the Amazon, start reversing desertification, rather than continuing to encroach on it. With our current population of nearly 8 billion people on this planet, we could feed them all and free up land to give back to nature, to the environment, and to free-living wild animals. So now you know veganism is always the more sustainable option. However, I know that actually making that transition and beginning to live and eat vegan can still seem daunting. So get your free vegan starter guide by clicking the link for my website down below in the description and signing up for my email list, and you will be able to download your free vegan living guide. Check out these videos for more information on veganism, the environment, and sustainable living. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, share this video wherever people share videos these days, and I'll see you next week.